Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to the public hearing for the Planning and Zoning Commission for Tuesday, September 13th, 2022. If everyone would please rise to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. I'll ask our secretary to read the public notice.
To be published in the Journal Inquirer Thursday, September 1, 2022, and Thursday, September 8, 2022, South Windsor Planning and Zoning Commission. Notice is hereby given that there will be a public hearing on Tuesday, September 13th at 7 o'clock p.m. in the council chambers of the South Windsor Town Hall to consider the following. Number 1, application 22-29P, U-Haul Truck Rentals Temporary and Conditional Permit. Request for a 2-year temporary and conditional permit for the rental of U-Haul equipment at 249 Oakland Road, RC Zone. Number 2, application 22-32P, Revolutions Bowling Outdoor Field Expansion. Request for a special exception to table 4.1.1A and site plan approval for an outdoor multi-purpose recreational fields 240 feet by 400 feet to accommodate league play on 195 Governor's Highway, and site plan approval for an off-site parking lot to support such use on property located at 205 Governor's Highway, I-Zone. Copies of the application are on file in the office of the town clerk and/or planning department and online at https://www.southwindsor-ct.gov/planning department pages planning and zoning commission applications. At this hearing, interested persons may be heard and written comments by the public will be received by mail or email. Persons who may require an accommodation can contact staff Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. at 860-644-2511, extension 2329, Bart Pasiconis, Chairman, Planning and Zoning Commission.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'll seek Commissioner Quirishi for Commissioner Foley, who is not able to attend tonight. Our order of business tonight will be first to hear from our applicants, then we will hear from town staff, then we will hear from I apologize, Paul. Commissioner Cavagnaro is not with us, so Commissioner Bernstein will be sitting for Commissioner Cavagnaro. And I'll go back to where I was. The order of business, first we hear from our applicants, then we will hear from town staff, then we will hear from members of the public, first those in favor, and then those against or having questions or concerns, and then we will hear from commissioners. When members of the public come up, there is a sign-in sheet up at the podium. If you could just print your name legibly, and when you speak to us, if you could just introduce yourself, tell us where you live, and get into your presentation or questions. If anyone has a cell phone, if they could, please put it to vibrate or shut it off. We would appreciate it. And when speaking at the microphone, if you get on top of the microphone like this, sometimes it gets garbled. If you're too far away from the microphone doesn't pick you up. So the best space is 3 to 6 inches is a good distance from the microphone. So with that, I'll get right into our public hearing, and our first application is application 22-29P, U-Haul Truck Rentals. Is there anyone here to represent this application? If you could, please step up to the podium. Turn your microphone on by the button on the base of it. It's on. Yep.
Good evening,
Good evening.
the Commission. Thank you for allowing me to say a few words. I am the current business owner of the Oakland Express convenience store here in town. Have been a resident of this town for the last 25 years, and opened this property like 10 years ago or so when it was closed after contamination. So we are trying to survive over there, so we need some business for us to be, and then for the betterment of the town also, you know, that there isn't any rental place for the trucks, and we have requested only to have 3 trucks at our location at the time. So this is what our request is.
Okay, if you could please introduce yourself?
My name is Zahir Sharaf.
Okay, and am I to understand you're also a resident of this town?
Yes, I had been living in town for the last 25 years.
Okay, thank you very much. Does that complete your presentation?
Yes.
Okay, at this time, I will turn to our town staff, our Director of Planning, Michelle Lipe.
Thank you. This is a request for a 2-year temporary and conditional permit to allow U-Haul rentals from property located at 249 Oakland Road in the restricted commercial zone. This type of use would typically be found in our general commercial or industrial zone, thus the need for the temporary permit. The commission had originally approved the applicant back in 2012, a permit at that time. We've had some bits and pieces of permits over the years for this use. Most recently, the U-Haul showed up again, and we haven't had it permitted since 2018, so our zoning officer did send a letter requesting that if it was going to be occurring from the site, that we get re-permitted. So that is what brings our applicant here tonight. Again, he's requesting to have up to 5 U-Haul vehicles on site. There is a map that's been provided with your packet, I think shows the locations where they'd like to have, that says 3 trucks and 2 trailers. You know, in the past, we've had some issues with where people drop off these U-Hauls. They haven't always consistently put them in those locations, somewhat causing site congestion a little bit. So we just want the applicant to be cognizant of that and making sure that, you know, where he shows these U-Haul trailers, that hopefully that's where they'll end up at the end of the day. We have had an approval condition in the past requiring these things be parked away from the access drives, again, to make sure people can get in and out of the site safely. The wording of the temporary conditional permit is that temporary conditional permits may be granted by the commission for a period not to exceed 2 years. Such approval may be given after a public hearing if, in the judgment of the commission, the public convenience and welfare will be substantially served and the appropriate use of neighboring property will not be substantially or permanently injured, and traffic and other hazards will not result from such use. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any report from engineering or?
There are no engineering comments.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll turn to members of the public. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak in favor of this application? Please step forward. Zahir, could you step aside for a minute, please? Thank you, sir.
For the record, my name is Tom Delnicki, and I reside at 130 Felt Road, and I own the property.
Excuse me. I don't believe your microphone is on.
Okay, is this better?
No, that's better.
Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, for the record, my name is Tom Delnicki. I reside at 130 Felt Road, and I have property that is diagonally across from the Oakland station there. I have absolutely no problem with the offering of U-Haul trucks for rental. I think it's a great asset for the community to have an opportunity for friends and neighbors to be able to utilize that and to actually rent vehicles from there. The business itself, it should be noted, is a family-owned business. And they have been great members of the community. They took what was a derelict old gas station and turned it into a productive piece of property, and that should be noted, what they did there in turning it into something. Prior to them taking the station over, it became the subject of tagging and vandalism, and that went away pretty much once they opened it up again. Again, I fully support the application being proposed here, And again, I know friends and neighbors that have utilized the facility, and I have had no problems whatsoever with the rental of U-Haul vehicles there. And I fully support the application. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to speak in favor of this application? Please step forward. Hearing and seeing none, is there anyone who would like to speak against or have questions or concerns? Please step forward. Hearing and seeing none, I'll turn to commissioners. Commissioner Bernstein.
Mr. Sheriff, can you come to the podium? Am I pronouncing that right, Mr. Sheriff?
Sir.
I'm going to go a little bit out of my lane here, and the reason for that is I want to make sure you're successful. I think the commission would want to make sure you're successful. I read your narrative, and when I read your narrative, it suggests to me that this application, the addition of U-Haul vehicles, is critical to your success in the facility.
Correct.
And I know that there aren't any upfront franchise fees or any other kind of upfront fees, but there are costs and fees associated with taking on this new business. So I guess as a resident and as someone that wants to see you succeed, I'd like to have maybe a little bit more of a feeling of comfort that you're ready to take on a brand new business like this. And the other thing that occurred to me is they're requiring at least 3 vehicles on the lot. And I know that they have different size vehicles, but just in my mind's eye, I think 3 large vehicles would take up a lot of space on your location. So if you can just speak to some of those things for me, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, well, U-Haul, with the U-Haul, what we do that we may not have more than 1 or 2 vehicles at the same time. The third one, which we have added to this application, is because of the fact that sometimes the customer, they drop it, and I have always requested U-Haul traffic that immediately that should be dispatched from our location, so that we should not have more than 2 on the application, which we have put 3 of them, but practically we are going to see 2 trucks over there. And as far as the sizes are concerned, they go up to 26 feet, but the most common use for the local rentals for the town and neighboring towns, it is the U-Haul vans or a 10-footer, which is a very commonly used truck. And we may see that truck at our location. And then on the other side, we may have sometime the trailers, which we are not carrying it right now, but sometimes the customer, they drop it. So that's why we have added 2 trailers to that locations. So we are going to have ample space for our operation.
Okay. And it sounds like you've looked into all the aspects of taking on a new business as well. Is that a fair?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, our purview is not, running your business for you, but again, I just want to make sure that you're successful. And when I read your narrative, I'm concerned and I want to see you do well. So that's all I have, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Viteri.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Commissioner LeBlanc.
Thank you. I have no comments or concerns, but I think it's a great use of the property, and I wish you luck with everything. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Wagner.
I am glad to see this property actually being used and not a derelict property, which we had at one point in time. So I have no other questions.
Commissioner Dexter.
I just want to be clear, is this a brand-new use of the space, or did you have U-Hauls on this?
We had the U-Haul in past, but what happened that I do have this business for the last 10 years or so. But during that time, because of my medical challenges, I had to, someone else was running it on behalf of me, and they decided not to carry the U-Haul. So during that time, we never had those rentals. But since I am back and trying to do our best, so that's why I'm requesting you to add this.
Thank you, that explains that. I'm in full support, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Quarishi.
I don't have any comments except wish you good luck and good luck on the expansion as well.
Thanks.
Okay, I just had a couple things. Yeah, from your narrative and the comments from town staff, this is a use that has been in place more or less from 2014. It wasn't renewed a couple times, and I understand the medical issues and everything, and I feel bad for you in that respect. But please know that to have this use in this area of town, the temporary and conditional permit does have to be in place. And it is a 2-year renewable permit, and if you want to renew it, you should make the effort to renew it prior to the expiration of the permit. One of the issues that I've heard about through the information that we received is the parking challenges of the vehicles that you get. And if I might suggest a solution to that might be the 3 spots that you have for the storage of vehicles, just put number 1, number 2, number 3, and I don't know if you could put it in your contract, that, write it in that the person has to return it to space number 1, 2, or 3 before their deposit is returned. And that, because I know if they park it someplace, you have one person in the store, that person can't really run out and be moving vehicles around and still be working at the cash register in the store. It's not efficient. But this might be a solution to that issue, and I hope my suggestion helps. And I don't know if maybe we could put that as a approval condition. But
Just to clarify that in any rental, we always mention that whenever you are going to bring it back, place it on the left side where there are, although we do not have those specific 1, 2, 3 positions, but we know that each truck has to be in line.
Yep.
Over there on the left-hand side, and that's what we expect from our customers. And if they are not, then we do it early morning, yeah.
yeah, I understand it's a challenge to get people to do something so simple, but hopefully that helps somewhat. Other than that, I have no other questions, comments, or concerns. Commissioners, is there any reason to keep this public hearing open? Applicant, you're all set?
Thanks.
And town staff, you're all set? Okay, then we'll close this public hearing at 7:18 p.m., and we will address this later tonight. Okay, our next public hearing is application 22-32P, Revolution's Bowling Outdoor Field Expansion. Do we have anyone here to represent this application? If you could, please turn your microphone on. Thank you. Almost. Nope. You got to have a red light like this, Doug. You got it.
Good evening, Doug Nation, Revolutions. So, I want a permit. Just kidding. I'm here tonight to tell everybody that we're coming near completion and getting rid of this temporary and conditional, and kind of want to turn it into a permanent, but I think we are going to have to push this off another couple weeks, correct?
Related to the lighting aspect of it, we don't have the details on the lighting yet. So there's 2 aspects to the special exception, the use and the lighting. So I'll be recommending we hold it open to get the lighting details, which are forthcoming. But we can still go forward with certainly your presentation and information.
Yeah, I'm working on getting the lighting diagram from Watt Saver, and trying to get the right heights and adjustments and throws and everything else, so.
Okay, and what is your plans, Doug, for the commission?
Oh, we constructed a multi-purpose field in the back of Revolutions off of Governor's Highway. We have contracted with a organization, and we have approximately 300 people per night signed up to play dodgeball, kickball, and flag football. Sunday, because I'm working under a temporary conditional, I had 300 people on the field playing flag football. Thought it was going to be a wimpy game until I showed up and looked at the size of these guys and realized I wouldn't go out on that floor. So we started off, and we're trying to, between that and the volleyball in the back courts, it seems like we've had a great relationship with this organization, and it's just growing. And it's a good use of the land. We took up 3 acres of parking lot and replaced it with turf, and we made a side parking lot for overflow, and a lot that was pretty much just an empty lot that we had sitting there for many, many years.
Okay, and you have been working with town staff to move this forward for about how long? Just so, because, just from what you've said so far, it sounds like you just started this.
Oh, no,
and-
we started moving ground, I think, in last October, moving earth and getting everything squared away over the winter. And then during the summertime, we kept on moving topsoil over and spreading, and then we started the seeding process and the irrigation. So we're kind of getting near the end of it, of the project, doing some final touches. Everything, I hope that I'm working with Michelle in an honest way. I seem like I've been answering her questions, and even when she's upset with me, I still get her the stuff she's looking for. I gotta follow the rules, I know. But we are moving ahead, and I think we're right in line with everything she's looking for, other than the light plan and some finished grades on the overflow parking.
Okay. Does that complete your presentation?
I think that we were talking about the charging stations that I didn't know about when we first came up in front of the planning zoning, that there was a new charging station. I guess there was a new ordinance for charging stations. I kind of went back when I heard about it from Michelle. I kind of went back and said, hey, this is an overflow parking. We got rid of 3 acres of blacktop and turned it into green grass. I put $1 million into the solar panels up on top of the roof. I've surely done my care of helping the environment on that. The charging stations don't really work with a overflow parking lot that's gravel between curb stops and getting electric there. At the same time, I was looking at the type of charging stations and the amount of time that our customers are there. They really wouldn't be getting much use out of a quick hour charge on the charging stations that are allowed in that area. So I kind of respectfully asked to kind of get a variance on that portion of the project. And at future time, if I ever, when we start making money and we're paying bills back and it makes sense, I'd probably put some at Nomads or Revolutions. But right now, I think we've kind of taken on a lot of projects, and that's just one that doesn't seem to make sense to me. May make sense to some people, but on a gravel parking lot, I don't believe it makes sense in that specific spot.
Okay. Just, if I could, just so the commission has all the information, I'm hearing music.
Not
is
from
going to be
us.
is going to be part of this proposal.
The music's there. It's funny. I've talked to people that hear music. I live on Main Street, and I know.
My term was, I'm hearing music is part of this proposal. I'm not hearing music from your facility.
Oh, we have
Okay.
we have an outside patio with music for the volleyball and the kickball and everything else, and we've over the years, whenever we've had a complaint, we've adjusted it. We've gone out and checked the noise volumes. We're under Michelle's got us on. Anytime there's a thing at Nomads, we go out there with a noise meter on Colony Road. But it seems like since one person moved off that street, we've never had a complaint since. But I think we were pretty good about making sure that we're friendly neighbors. And personally, a lot of times that people have thought the noise was coming from us. When the police came up, they acknowledged that there was no noise. And there were some issues with Nutmeg Road. I think it was Nutmeg North or something. There was a guy in there that had a sound company that was blasting across Route 5, and a couple times they thought it was us or the river. I live on Main Street, and I hear banging all night long, and then some people will assume, well, that must be coming from Revolutions or Nomads. It's not. There's some issues with some sound, and that's coming from Hartford, and I think those are being addressed with town police, but it has nothing to do with us.
Okay, thank you. Does that complete your presentation?
It does.
Okay, then at this time, we'll turn to our town staff, our Director of Planning, Michelle Leip.
Thank you. So this is a request for a special exception to Table 4.11A and site plan approval to make permanent the outdoor multi-purpose recreation field 280 by 400 and to that accommodates league play at 195 Governor's Highway with lit fields and site plan approval for an off-site parking lot for overflow on property located at 205 Governor's Highway in the industrial zone. As the commission may recall, Mr. Nash was in front of you last September with the temporary and conditional permit to establish those fields with the conditions put on at that time, where he come back to you for a special exception to make it a permanent use, as well to address parking needs, lighting, and all those kinds of elements. Tonight, you're going to primarily be dealing with the use aspect of it because we don't have the lighting information necessary. The lighting for recreation fields, permanent lighting of 35 feet or taller poles is by special exception. So I'm not going to address it in my report tonight because I would respectfully request we keep this open and address that at our next meeting when we have the information in front of us. So again, this is a special exception request for outdoor recreation. We did grant a special exception years ago to Revolutions for the outdoor fields that currently volleyball takes place, and there's outdoor activities with bands and things like that. I don't know, many of you may remember years ago going over there with noise studies and things like that. I can say we have not had complaints that we field on any regular basis in our office on that, so hopefully that will continue with this use. To date, the improvements that have been made, the field has been established. There's been a barrier wall installed and safety netting around the field. I think there is some temporary lighting out there, and maybe Doug can address that for nighttime play. Again, we do allow permanent outdoor lighting that will be addressed at another time. In the applicant's narrative to the chairman's comments, they are requesting to have outside entertainment, including music and dancing, serving, preparation of sale and food and beverages, an expanded patio, and this patio would be behind Revolutions, so on the western side of Revolutions. Building, fire, and health have been in discussions with Doug and his staff, and they will be involved in any permitting and changing of the use on that site. There are some hours of operation that are being proposed. They would like to be able to have play as early as 7 a.m. with closing at 10 p.m. on Sunday, 11 p.m. Monday through Wednesday, 12 a.m. Thursday through Saturday. I assume this would go through October, November timeframe. Obviously, it's not going to be during the winter months. The applicant has indicated there are 85 parking spaces available to support the uses at Revolutions. Additional parking with this off-site gravel to the north on the adjacent property that is currently owned by the applicant. They will be lighting that parking lot with light poles similar to other light poles in the general vicinity. As far as the putting in the units for the EV charger stations, it is a gravel lot. I do agree with Doug that it may not be the best location, you know, it's a temporary lot. We do have a provision does allow the applicant to request them to be deferred. So I guess that's what he's probably requesting with applications, defer putting them in. We did put them in when we did the off-site parking down there in South Satellite, but that was a little different situation. That's a permanent all year round parking lot. I think that made a lot more sense to require them with that off-site parking. Is this application approved, we would recommend that an as-built of the field and the parking area be done. And again, I request we keep the hearing open to get more information related to the recreation lighting being proposed. And there are no engineering comments at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak in favor of this application? Please step forward. Please step forward. Thank you. This is in favor.
I'm supposed to sign this, or I don't know, nobody else? Oh, they don't have it. Okay.
My name is Kathy Young. I live at 1136 Main Street. My property abuts I'm going to say the whole area up there. Doosan, Revolutions, and I wanted to commend Dougie. The noise reduction, because the first time they would set the speaker to go over the bank toward Main Street, and then they rearranged things to get the noise level down. And I know you mentioned the music. Now, I have been up there when they had a wedding, because I heard loud music, and I'm looking like, which way is it going? And things were improved as soon as it was noted. So I want to congratulate Dougie. He's been a good neighbor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor of this application? Please step forward. Hearing and seeing none, is there anyone who would like to speak against or have questions or concerns? Please step forward. Hearing and seeing none, we'll turn to commissioners. Commissioner Quarishi.
No comments at this time.
Commissioner Dexter.
Well, I guess I'm kind of confused tonight on a couple things. So, Mr. Nation, just help me understand that the application that is in front of us is for site plan approval for the multi-purpose field and
Correct.
parking. So then we start talking about music and entertainment, and
That was all in the original.
that's part of something else, right?
Well, part of the narrative that was submitted, so this isn't behind Revolutions, this area that is being proposed. So some improvements are being made to the back of Revolutions to support this use.
Okay.
And that's where the narrative that was approved when you approved Revolution's outdoor activities is being altered with this new narrative in this new activity.
Okay.
So there's some shifting of where some of the activity is going to be from the southern side of the building to the western side of the building, right, Doug? I mean,
Yeah, I think,
you're going to be able to come out and
I think
patio there?
one of the things is we had our banquet room at Revolutions that held about 150 people, and we were finding that it wasn't being rented as much as we'd like, maybe 4 times a month, 5 times a month, and we're like, okay, let's do something different. So we ended up putting 12-foot doors in the back of the building, opened it all up to a patio, so now we can get weddings that would want to go out and sit outside, sit out by a fire pit. We've got fire pits going in. We've got a lot of couch seating all outside. So it's going to be more of a relaxing area. I'll tell you, I had a lot of local town guys stop up there Sunday, and they sat up on the top, and they looked down over the field. They're like, oh, my God, I never thought it was going to be this exciting to sit back and just watch people play sports on such a big area of wide open grass. And that made me feel pretty good, because I was a little nervous at first until I sat up there and realized, wow, it is pretty interesting.
That sounds great.
So it was a great bunch of people. They're all young professionals that play this sport, everything from age 22. There typically starts about 22 and goes up to about 35. And we have about 1,500 people signed up for each session. So it's a fun activity.
So when this group of football
Yep.
players or dodgeball players finish their game, they leave this field.
Yep,
and
they go to the local gas stations and local restaurants to, no, I'm kidding.
No, but then they go to the Revolutions portion.
They would be there already. So they're on the field. The field's attached to the patio, so they're just up waiting for their next game starting. So they might be down and they have to play game 3. So they're just chilling out on the patio until game 3 comes up. So it's
They
all.
bring coolers? Do they bring?
No outside coolers, no outside food. It's all contained in a fence around the whole property. It is all closed. It's gated off. The place is locked up at night.
And the hours mentioned, is that for the playing field or is that for your business?
No,
at
our business
Revolutions?
is pretty much the same operations, but we cut the music off at 11, just like at Revolutions. We don't allow music after 11, so you're not going to hear anything like that. So
I'm trying
The
to
narrative
separate
was
them
written
in
by
my
Mike
brain.
DeBella, so maybe Mike hasn't told Doug how late he wants keep the place open.
What?
He had till midnight is some of the hours
Yeah,
he
but
submitted,
music
so-
is same, Revolutions is open until 2 in the morning sometimes,
so
but we turn all music off,
The
so
hours
it's more,
submitted are what they're looking to have.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Wagner.
All right, I'd like to drill in a little bit on the music again. I was involved in the issue with people on Colony Road. I don't know that any of them have written to you or talked to you about this, but we went out and did noise measurements, which basically were related to the Nomads facility at that time. But then we had conditions. Was this zoning board of appeals or was this zoning, planning and zoning?
It was planning and zoning.
Okay, so I must have been an alternate or something at the time. But there were conditions put on the way the music is handled, which kind of sounds like what you're doing.
A lot of, let me just kind of say one thing. A lot of the complaints I think we had with music at Nomads was the laser tag room was on the back of the building. So sometimes when the music was played in the laser tag inside the building, it was protruding outside the block wall, and I think that's what they could hear. So we've done, different adjustments and sound in there. And we haven't had anybody come over in a long, long time or put a call into us, but we're pretty quick on if anybody calls us. I don't think we take that pretty seriously.
So just as an anecdote, we were taking the noise measurements. I believe it was a woman came out of the Nomads facility into the parking lot and emitted a scream of delight about something. It wasn't like she was being attacked, but just that scream put the noise meter above the noise limit. So it's a very sensitive thing that can happen. And getting back to the Revolutions facility, so this music, I'm understanding, is now going to be contained within the building? Is that what's going on?
No. We have we have all the music turned off at Revolutions outside, or at least no band music or no loud music at 11 every night. So when they're playing out there, they usually finish up around 10:30. The volleyball players, the basketball, but usually right at 11 we turn the outside music on. If there's speakers over the volleyball courts, we shut those down, and it's just low music, just as kind of like an ambient music, but
So are you putting in a new location for music, or is it the same one we saw?
Oh, I think one of the things that's confusing is the patio at Revolutions is on the east side, and this patio now wraps around the north side, so it just kind of circles the building, so it's on two sides where the volleyball courts are on the east side, and the multi-purpose field is on the north side.
Okay, but the music will be coming from the north side of the Revolutions building? Any new music?
There'll be music out there.
Yeah. On the north side?
On the north side of the building.
Yeah, okay. And just trying to understand these pictures we were given. Whoops, I got the wrong. This picture here, what's the street along here? That's Governor's Highway, okay. So there's not much in the way of residents in that direction, right? Okay. Yeah. Well,
Your
probably-
microphone.
Yeah, the Pride gas station is under construction at Governor's Highway and Route 5.
Yeah, I've seen that, okay. Charging stations. I kind of had a little trouble understanding what you were saying, but this is like a temporary use. It's not a permanent.
It's a seasonal use is really what it is.
Seasonal,
Yeah. And it's gravel parking. It's not, they're not going to be islands in the middle. I think with the South Satellite parking lot, they end up using the light poles to use where they were getting their electrical from. You don't quite have that set up with this parking lot.
But the light poles only give you what's called level 1 charging, right? Are there chargers other places in the Nomads, Revolutions area?
No, there's not. We don't have them at Nomads and we don't have them at Revolutions, but we have made a big commitment to, where both of our roofs are full to capacity with solar panels. So we've definitely taken a step in trying to go green.
I mean, getting our town ready to support electric vehicles, which is going to become a bigger and bigger issue in the next few years, I think is an important thing. I'd love to see you put some charging maybe closer to the buildings or something. I understand that the gravel lot may be not a suitable location, but you know, you do have people there who stay there for hours, and you know, the level 2 charging will put a lot of miles on a car in you know, in a couple hours. So I don't know how to factor that in here. I do understand the concern about trying to do it at the gravel lot, but I hope at some point in the future you'll see your customers would like to have that electric charging out in front of your building.
I'd like to see all the gas stations have charging stations,
Yeah.
since that's their form of business for gassing up cars and making sure they go. I commend you on your, you know, your wanting to put charging stations. I have a little different feeling of, you know, if the town wants charging stations, they should take open space and put charging stations in. I don't think that putting that on the taxpayers, the burden of putting charging stations on their personal property it doesn't fit everybody's needs. And I might be stepping out of line, I apologize. It's just one thing that I'm a little, stand in my own ways about. But I will continue doing everything for the environment that I can do, and try to be a good environmental citizen. But
All right, well, I understand. You're entitled to your opinion.
and I will, when I have more research and more things going along, if it makes sense, I would, you know, I'll be the first one to put them in nomads or revolutions. I think that I've got to be proven a little more on where everything's going right now. It's kind of a weird political time, and I think I'll definitely take you up on that when I feel more comfortable in my beliefs about the whole programs and stuff. And I hope I just didn't kick myself in the butt for saying all that, but.
Game close.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner LeBlanc.
Yeah, thank you. I don't have any comments or concerns. You raised some good points here, and I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Commissioner Viteri.
Just a question. What's the current hours of operation?
We usually, Revolutions usually opens around 9 and closes right around 11, and then Friday and Saturday nights, we're open till 2, which I'm not excited about, but we are open till 2, and then Sunday I think we close at 11. Now, outside patio stuff is not really what people are into at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's not like pretty much the patio closes down even at 11. Even outside volleyball courts, we have a patio out there. We close that down at 11. It's more contained inside the building with security. We have full-blown security.
Okay, because I was looking at the application. It said open at 7, and everything, and then closing no later than midnight, Thursday through Saturday, and then 11
I think that
o'clock.
just opens it up to, it just allows us to open up. This weekend, we had a car show for the veterans, and it started at 7. So it's kind of like we never know what someone's going to ask us to do. They might ask to put a small carnival out in the field or a fundraiser, and they all want to be there. And we kind of just wanted to be able to make sure that we could. But it's not a typical thing that we're going to be open at 7, that's for sure.
Okay, so the closing at midnight, though, that'll be different now than the closing at 2 o'clock?
Excuse me?
It says now it'll close at no later than midnight, and that's Thursday through Saturday. Otherwise, it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
or
the
11
field
o'clock.
will definitely be closed. It'd probably be closed early. There's no reason to have it open past that time. I mean, right now, I think the last volleyball game ends around 10:30, and then we turn the lights off. Listen, we don't want to leave the lights on any longer than we have to. So we turn the lights off, and they all just kind of mingle around until they finally decide to go home. So I don't see anything happening past that time. It hasn't in the last 2 years. Anybody staying out that patio, I don't have any future thought of even letting anything go around. We're trying to keep a family kind of oriented thing. We're not looking for a nightclub out there or anything like that.
So the 2 a.m. that you're talking about now, that won't be,
2 a.m. is inside.
Is inside,
Is
okay.
contained in the building.
got it. Okay, thank you. That's it.
Okay. Commissioner Bernstein.
Sorry to beat a dead horse. So the outdoor music ends what time?
11 o'clock.
And what kind of music is it generally?
Rap, heavy metal.
11 o'clock.
No, it's
Rap and heavy
you know,
metal.
I think we may play a little country western out there. I'm getting older too, so I don't really care for the heavy metal or the rock and stuff like that. So it's what God, I want to say what everybody's listening to these days, but I don't really even know what they're listening to when I listen to it sometimes. But it's not bad stuff. I mean, if I hear anything coming out those speakers that is not acceptable, I'm the first one to get to it.
So the reason I asked the question, this is for the commission. So I live on Newberry, which is one street over from Colony, and this hasn't been a problem for me or anyone on my street that I know of, and I would think we would hear it if it were.
Oh, yeah, you would.
Yeah.
And I would hear it from my uncle down the street.
Yeah. In the documents that we have, there's a bit of a cryptic comment about the fencing around the lot. Is there fencing around this lot?
Oh, the entire lot is all fenced in.
Can you describe the fencing?
Black vinyl fencing on all sides except the east side of Doosan. Michelle and I have talked about putting some kind of screening up so we don't have to look at Doosan stuff, but we're looking at different products. I bought some the other day, and they said, you know, it's great, you put this screening up, but then 5 months later, you see the stuff flapping in the wind. So we're working with some different people. Well, we don't want to look at it either, so we're gonna work on that. But as far as the rest of the place, it's all gated, chain link fence, black vinyl, 8 feet high, so it's not a little fence to climb over. All gated off every night. Landscaping is pretty, you know, we're really trying to create an upscale environment for people to come up and enjoy it.
Okay, it sounds great.
And I didn't know if there was a regulation, but I might as well see if I can put it in. But I'd love to put a very tall American flag out there. So I hope there's not a 35-foot limitation on that, but I'd like to just bring it up. Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay. And just for the record, Commissioner Bernstein, you don't live within 500 feet of this property, correct?
No.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. That just comes down to me. I was happy to hear the music ends at 11 p.m. I don't have anything further. Look forward to hearing about the lighting when you get some further information on that.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing sports lighting.
Leave it for the
So-
next meeting. But you know what you're going to be doing, just, next meeting, bring it to us.
Yeah.
Okay?
A motion to keep the hearing open would,
Correct. So if there's nothing further, Commissioners, Commissioner Wagner?
Yeah, one tiny thing. Section 6410A, it says the applicant may request to modify or defer the number of EV charging spaces required based on site conditions at the time of the application. And I just want to confirm you are requesting to defer charging or modify the number of EV charging spaces that would be required.
Mr. Wagner, you have always been supportive of me, so I appreciate the years of support and stuff. I will make every attempt over the next couple of years. I'd like to defer the charging stations on the Revolutions right now, and I will definitely consider looking at other areas of it.
Doug?
No, it's just a simple question. I want
This
you to
is-
say
I
yes.
did say- I did
This
say defer.
application,
I did say
you're
defer.
asking to defer.
Yes.
and I do have that request in writing. He did email me that request.
Okay,
Okay.
great,
Great.
thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. So, Commissioners, at this time, I would entertain a motion to continue this public hearing to our next available date.
Motion to continue.
So moved.
Okay. Commissioner Viteri? Commissioner Quarishi, do you second that motion?
I second.
Okay, thank you very much. Any discussion, questions, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, and at this time, we're going to call our regular meeting to order for September 13th, 2022. Our first order of business is public participation. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on something that is not on our agenda tonight? Please step forward. Hearing and seeing none, we'll move into our new business. Application 22-31P, Hartford Truck Equipment LLC, temporary and conditional permit. I see we have someone here to represent the applicant.
Good evening, Chairman Pascone. It's Peter DeMalley, President of Design Professionals at 21 Jeffrey Drive in South Windsor. And I'm here representing Hartford Truck Equipment and McGuire Road Associates for renewal of our temporary and conditional permit at 542 King Street, which will eventually be known as 95 John Fitch Boulevard. And there's probably not a lot to get into with respect to this. I can just summarize it, but I'd like to bring you up to date on how we're doing on the other elements of the project, if you'd like.
Briefly?
Yes.
Sure.
Sure. Okay. So first of all, what we're here tonight is to renew the roughly 1 acre of area to store the brand new trucks are awaiting upfitting because they're a fast-growing business, and the commission last year was able to accommodate them so they could temporarily store them on this particular 1 acre section in the middle of the property, well removed from residences and well removed from Route 5, and it's screened from the residential area by a 10-foot high wood chip berm, which is in place and has been in place ever since they instituted this. So that was done last year. In February, this commission approved a zone change. It approved two things. It's zone change to the general commercial zone for the back part of the property abutting King Street. And you also approved a site plan for a conservation easement area, 3.3 acres in size. Within that conservation area was approximately 1,100 lineal foot long earthen berm, and also on top of that was going to be an 8-foot high opaque fence. And then on either side of the fence, on both slopes of that'd be the westerly and easterly slopes of the berm, along King Street and behind residences, we're going to plant 157 evergreen trees, and also I think it was 78 shrubs, which were a mixture of evergreen and deciduous shrubs as requested by the neighbors. This is after many meetings and discussions between applicants and the neighbors and it was a very amicable workout. So what I'm just going to bring you up to date on is the progress that we've made. The applicants reassured the neighbors that they would do the conservation area first before they did an expansion of their operations, and is underway. In August, we represented to you that the berm would be done sometime around mid-September, and right now, in fact, yesterday, Mike Kovensky from Billy Mitchell's operation ESI, who's doing the heavy construction over there, they're expecting probably by the end of the week be done with the basic formation of the berm, and also top dress it with topsoil either the end of this week or beginning of next week. So that part should be done. Then it's turned over to Jay Murtha from Jay's Landscaping, who will be installing over 200 shrubs and trees over the course, as we're getting into the end of September, a little bit into October perhaps. So quite an effort. So that should be done certainly within the next 3-4 weeks at the most. So that should be all in place, and we're delighted that that's in place. Also, that water quality basin within the conservation easement should be done at the same time. So all that work is being done, and Mike Kovensky and Billy Mitchell worked with Derek and Blake Brannon to make sure that instead of having the truck traffic equipment coming to and from the site via Burnham Street and King Street, and it's closed off the other end, I know, by Main Street, because of bridge work, but instead of doing that, disrupting the neighbors, they opted to bring all the equipment in and out through their site from Route 5, so it doesn't bother the residential neighborhood, as a further accommodation to them, because they're getting along great with those people and they want to return the favor. So it's moving along very nicely, and we're here tonight because we do need to continue the temporary and conditional permit until the operational part has been built, so they can use it the way you approved it in August. So we need that temporarily, this 1-year permit, so we can continue to have them store the vehicles there that they need, because the need is still remaining in place. And then and then they're going to be able to go right into, within the next few months, they should be able to start, once the conservation area is completely done, then at some point, within a couple of months, they should be able to start construction of the operations. Phase 1 is the outdoor storage area, which will replace this temporary and conditional permit, need for that. And then Phase 2 is going to be the back building, that low-profile building. You recall, they agreed to a lower-profile building than what's allowed under zoning. I think 28 feet maximum height as opposed to 40 feet in the zone. And then the third phase, as they are envisioning it right now, will be the 10,000 square foot addition to their headquarters building at 95 John Fitch Boulevard. So the whole property will be known as 95 John Fitch Boulevard, their operations center, which is the same address as their headquarters building, with the exception of the back building, which I believe is going to be called 85 John Fitch Boulevard, as per Michelle's decision there. So that's it. That gives you an update on where we're at. They're holding to their commitment to do the conservation area and the berms and the fencing and all that stuff all up front before they start even construction of the balance of the property.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll turn to our town staff, our Director of Planning, Michelle Lipe.
I'll be the brief one. This is a request for renewal of the one-year temporary and conditional permit granted by the Commission for the truck storage at what is known as 542 King Street in the general commercial zone. As you recall, that was granted last August when the applicant had an influx of cars on the site. Subsequent to that, you'd have approved the site plan, and as Peter has indicated, the berm is well under construction. Jeff Doolittle did take a visit out to it today and indicated that it was coming along nicely, and we do anticipate it being planted within the next couple of weeks. With this outdoor storage area, they have about 100 trucks, 12 by 20 truck parking spaces with a 20-foot aisle. It's very neatly coordinated out there. They do enter and exit from Route 5, so there's no disruption to the King Street residents. The wording of the temporary conditional permit regulation says they may be granted by the commission for a period not to exceed 2 years. This commission chose only to have 1 year permit at the time, knowing that a site plan was coming in. And when you do grant them the renewals, they can be done without a public hearing. So if this application is approved, the planning department has no modifications to request, just that it remain active until everything's in place and the new site is established. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, I'll open it up to commissioners. Commissioner Bernstein, anything? Commissioner Viteri? Commissioner LeBlanc? Commissioner Wagner?
So, thank you.
Yes, we're doing EV stations.
So, you said there's a fence, there is a fence going on top of the berm.
8-foot opaque fence. That's
Yeah,
right.
when will that go in? I know you're putting the,
That
you
will
built the soil part of the berm, and you're putting the shrubs in soon. When's the fence going in?
I believe the fence is going to go in once the plants are installed. But
Okay.
that's between Jay, Martha, and I think Patrick and Al Kapjunas from Fence One are doing the fence.
And-
So it'll be, they have to just coordinate it.
And that is not part of this approval.
No, but it'll be within that time frame. Certainly by the end of October, that'll be in, yeah.
Well, I mean, we're no longer using the wood mulch, so the new berm is kind of serving the role that the mulch.
No, this is the wood mulch berm. This is reapproving it for 1 year.
But it's gone.
No, it's still there. I was out there today. Yeah, it's still there. 10 feet high.
Oh, okay, so
You
you
just
have,
don't see the trucks because of the
there's two
berm.
berms now.
There are going to
Yeah.
be 2 berms until we do until we start building the storage area, then that goes away. But by that time, all the landscaping and beyond, the fencing and beyond, it'll be opaque 16 feet high, and then plants.
Got it,
on top.
okay, I was under the impression that you must have taken out the wood chips, but you didn't. Okay,
No, it's
great.
still there, yep.
Hey, I'm delighted to see a temporary and conditional permit that looks like it's really temporary.
Yeah, we hope we don't come back.
Thank you.
Hopefully you only need it for 6 months or 7 months, whatever.
Okay. Commissioner Dexter?
No questions.
Commissioner Quarishi? Okay. And I have no questions.
Wow, okay, thank you.
So, commissioners, a motion should be in order? I don't see any red lights going on.
All right, I'll do it.
Commissioner
Oh, wait,
Wagner?
no, he's interested.
All right. I'd like the motion to approve application 22-31P, Harper Truck Equipment LLC, temporary and conditional permit.
with the following conditions.
I gotta find out. Thank you. With the following conditions. Number one, the approval is for a truck storage area to accommodate 100 trucks, approximately 1 acre in size, on property located at 542 King Street. All trucks should be parked within the fenced area as shown on the plans. Two, this one-year temporary conditional permit for this use will expire on September 13, 2023. Number three, if the uses continue beyond this date, the applicant shall return to this commission with a site plan modification to address this expansion, including a plan that meets the buffer requirements of the zoning regulations. And finally, number four, the berm is to be maintained and inspected for insects periodically. The applicant is required to provide verification of the berm height in the spring of 2023 to ensure its integrity.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. We'll give you an update later on. Thank you.
Okay. Our next item of business is application 22-29P, the U-Haul truck rental TNC permit. Michelle, anything additional?
No, you did want to add to number the spaces, either number or sign them. I mean, maybe a small U-Haul sign or something along the side there would be appropriate. Maybe give them an either-or option.
Okay.
You do have a conditions on the back of the report, if you can find the report.
Yep. So, commissioners, what is your pleasure? Does anybody have a?
I move approval of application 22-29P, Oakland Express U-Haul Rentals, TNC 28249 Oakland Road. This approval is for the rental of U-Haul trucks and trailers. A maximum of 3 trucks and 2 trailers are allowed on site at any one time. All trailers and/or trucks should be parked away from the access drive. This 2-year temporary and conditional permit for this use will expire on September 13, 2024, and will have to be renewed at that time if this use is to continue. And did you have one more thing?
These spaces, the U-Haul spaces should be numbered or signed on site.
Okay, we can add that.
I'll tweak it to make it sound a little better.
Okay. You good with that? Yep. Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, our next is application 22-32P, which we have continued to another date. So at this time, we'll move on to bonds. Do we have any bonds? No bonds. Minutes, we have 3 sets of minutes, July 19th, July 26th, and August 16th. Commission, if you don't have any questions, comments, concerns, we can adopt these by consensus. Agreed?
Agree.
Okay. Old business, Michelle.
No, just want to remind you at our next meeting, we will be having an executive session on 2 of our existing litigation items. That will be part of your agenda. We'll have a continuation of Revolutions, assuming we have the lighting information, and we'll have a public hearing on your application you're receiving tonight. That kind of, I think, wraps up everything that we have currently pending. We also are looking to have some subcommittee reports on that evening as well, so just to give you a 2-week preview. And then just about the quad meeting next week, I know some people have asked what the agenda looks like for that meeting. My understanding with talking with the town manager is there'll be some discussion from the superintendent about the schools and the state of the schools, if you will. The town manager will have some financial projections over the next couple of years of what our finances look like, and then there'll be some general discussions amongst the economic development, planning and zoning, board of ed, and the town council on how we go about reaching some of these goals and financial challenges we have in front of us. That's kind of a snippet of what I've been told. If you haven't RSVP'd, if you could please do so. I know they're trying to put some numbers together, and I believe there will be an agenda forthcoming.
Okay, thank you very much.
Excuse me.
I think, Commissioner Wagner?
Do you anticipate the next meeting starting at 6:30 or 7?
What is your pleasure? I mean, I think the town attorney could accommodate whatever we'd like to do. We don't have a heavy agenda, we'll have 2 items on, but I could certainly ask her to come at 6:30 if you want to start early, and then have our public hearing start after that.
Yeah, do they expect it'll be a half an hour, or?
Well, you know, why don't we keep our public hearings on and then do your executive session? I don't know how long executive sessions will last. Having 2 of them might last a little bit longer than
Right.
a half hour, so.
Okay,
We'll do that. We don't have much on the agenda either way, so.
okay. All right. So at this time, if we have no further business, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
Motion to adjourn?
Commissioner Bernstein,
I second.
and we have a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.